Hi, everybody. Okay, at this very moment, there's a solar eclipse going on in the Northern Hemisphere. Isn't that wonderful? So I thought this was a really good time to do a Facebook Live on elevating pathways, taking quantum leaps in your evolutionary paths, and how one does that. So I'm going to explain a little bit about why I consider myself to be quite an expert in this area. So 25 years ago, I was doing past life readings, and I stopped around the early 2000s, maybe the late 1990s, and I stopped because I realized that you could stream transformation from the past into the present into the future, and that actually most of what was occurring on the pathway, like we think there's a set pathway. Okay, there's a past life I was in, or a past time in my current life, and then it streams forward and there's like one path, but that's not the way I see it. There are a myriad of pathways streaming off in front of you, and you can make choices to leap onto different pathways, and set your quantum leaping in motion, which is really quite exciting, actually. I love it. So I stopped doing past life readings right around the 2000 mark, year 2000, and I started to come very much into the present moment. Now, I also have been fascinated with looking into the future. I've never wanted to predict the future. Hi, Marilyn. Great to have you on the call. So I'm talking about elevating pathways and taking quantum leaps and choices in pathways, and what I've learned over the years about that. So if I try to look at the future for people, it's like a morphable feast. Yes, you can tell from someone's essence in their deep core. There's a uniqueness to each person. There's a focus that they're passionate about, and they may have multiple focuses. But it's not like, oh, there's a destiny and you're on that path and that's it, you go there forever. I do think there's some truth to that, but I also think you can choose multiple pathways and multiple purposes and multiple streams and choices. And hi, Emily. Wow, wonderful. Quantum soak with Soleira. I love that. Emily's in Australia. Marilyn's in Spain. So here we are from around the world. So I was saying too, there's a solar eclipse going on right now in the Northern Hemisphere. So big, powerful moment to do this. Okay, so talked about the past and how you can stream it and transform it and change the present and the future. Talked about the present, where yes, we want to be present in the presence and be vital and alive and making great choices for who we are and what we're up to. And I'm just chatting about the future. So I never want to kind of predict or lock down futures for people. I can give them sense of things, and I sometimes like to do that as pointers for how to make good choices, good decisions, and which pathways to take. And I watch people sometimes veer off pathways. Uh, it's very interesting to watch somebody veer off. It's like they take little glitches. So here's the pathway. It's like there's an optimal stream with still multiple choices in it, but there's an optimal stream. And then you watch people going, oh, but I need to make money. And they'll go off here for a while, but then they'll come back here again. But actually, would the pathway have been different if they just stayed on here and let it flow differently? Do you see what I mean? So when I go to look for people on their to elevate their pathways forward, what I'm looking for is who they are in the core of themselves, what their greater purposes are, and I say plural because I think we all have multiple ones at play, and then So that's a kind of core come from place. But then if you stream forward and you look for people into the future, and sometimes you can go 6 months ahead, a year ahead, 10 years ahead to the end of their lifetime. You know, you can look at different things. And sometimes things look very clear. Oh, and then you can see the choices they can make that could create that. What I'm usually looking for is what are the choices that are going to let them go va va voom, pow, pow, like this, and accomplish those greater purposes with as much ease, with as much innovation, with as much joy as possible. And what are the choices we can make in the present moment now to elevate that quantum leap so it comes with grace and ease? So you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm saying that time is malleable, pathways there's a myriad of them, and you can make many choices associated with them. You see what I mean? So Marilyn just put a post and said, I'm working on my move. It has just moved, and it has just emerged, and there's a feeling of it being right. Yeah, we've looked many times for you, haven't we, at the future and the possibility. And, you know, does it matter timing? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes you've got some years to accomplish things. Sometimes you've got an immediacy to accomplish things. I'm talking general to everybody now. But you can see, so if I looked, Marilyn, is it okay if I use you as an example, I think? So I'm just going to look for Marilyn at her pathways forward. So she's currently in Spain, and she's planning to come back to the UK to live. That's the current plan. And we've looked at many plans over the years, and you can see how they're morphing and changing and how choices we make do that. But if I go to Marilyn and I look at what's her greater purpose now, her greater purposes, and it's like, yeah, super, she said yes. Good. Okay, so if I come into the deep core with her and I look at, okay, what are the greater purposes here? I think you could do it from anywhere. You are, I'm going to call you a political influencer, not a politician necessarily, although we've talked about you doing that too, but a societal influencer is probably the right term for it. To influence the development and growth and even quantum leaping of society into new possibilities, into fabulous ways. And some of that includes some of the streams of the past, because Marilyn is trained as a nutritionist and a geologist and a yoga teacher. And I mean, that's just the three of her many, 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 many facets to her bow kind of thing. But the overall purpose of it all feels like you being an influencer of the development of society. And that society doesn't have to be a single country. It could be a wider piece to that. So if we look at that as where this is the come from place, and then now Marilyn, I'm going to look forward. What are the optimal pathways that would help to achieve that purpose of quantum leaping society into brand new facets of possibility? Okay, so here we go. It's like I look here out in front of her as if here's her being, here's her essence and core and uniqueness, and here are the pathways in front of her. And I think not so much Spain, where you are now, but the pathways could be European or British for the moment. And I know because of Brexit, we're holding those slightly separate, although they used to be one thing. It would be nice if they were one thing. But you get my drift. So, yeah. So if I then look out at the future, now if I go look a year from now, I know we've talked about this. There's a piece with academia. There's a piece with music and dance in it, because she's also a dancer. uh, there's a community, but it could be a small place because you've talked about coming to this area in Somerset, but I think it has a wider influence. So wherever you land, there's a wider influence. And I get the sense of, if I was going to pick a place, I'd say Bristol Bath. Does that mean it has to be there? No, it doesn't. No, you could end up many other places. But there's a sense of beginning to influence society in ways. And I think we've talked about this many times. So, I'm lucky with Marilyn. I know the history, I know the background, I know her expertise, her genius. So when I look, now if I just threw away everything I know, because that's another way of looking. So Emily, you're on the call. If you want to look with us, feel free and see what you get. For Marilyn, it's kind of fun to do this and to strengthen this ability. So, okay, if I set aside everything I know about you and I just look, Marilyn, 5 years out. Let's play 5 years out, okay? Oh, yeah. I see you speaking on stages, um, and loving your life and having friends and a partner and a fullness of life and people listening to what you've got to say. And there's a lot of grace and wisdom in you, but there's still that kind of, you have a bit of an activist side to you, where you, I think there's some of that, but it's less of a fight and more of a empowerment version of it, I would say. It's really quite beautiful, and I do believe it's oriented around people being a contribution to the communities and societies they live in and how that shapes the world. How do you feel about that, Marilyn? Hey, Gunhild, hi. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating, isn't it? Now, can she change that future? Yes. Okay, so we're going to try one more thing. Oh, good. Emily's just played with it. So, Marilyn, she said, I see you breaking down walls between people, communities. It was such strength and grounded power. Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, breaking down walls between people and communities and society as a whole so they can find new ways forward. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Okay, so now what we're going to do now is we're going to take one more look, okay, for using Marilyn as an example. Now, we're going to see if we quantum leaped everything in the now. If she went like bang, big, all the right mega choices, all the movement of transformation and possibility and quantum leaping. If we look down the quantum leaping super evolutionary path and we look a year and 5 years out for Marilyn, let's see what we get. Okay, here we go. Oh, Marilyn, that was amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And she says that's what I did with Mendip Council and Plan International. She's already done some of this in the past. Marilyn, when I went into that and I went straight to your being and we just quantum leaped forward, I saw you teaching in academia. And it was a whole new, I don't want to call it a science, but a whole new curriculum, a whole new approach that was around building quantum societies, I suppose, or something. I don't know. And there isn't a word for it yet, Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Marilyn said bringing communities together, my work in large group interventions. Yeah, she's got a huge background for this. So I see you somehow being a part of academia, and I can see you doing TED Talks, and I can see you on stages. It's um, a new approach to building brilliant societies and communities, and how we do that, and what it takes to do that. Like it's not something that's in the current curriculum. Um, it's not a 50-year build of society. It's a quantum now build of society. It's like, how does one build strong communities, strong international relationships? Fascinating. And isn't it interesting, Marilyn, that the G7 summit is about to start here in Cornwall tomorrow? So the leaders are all arriving today, and yesterday probably too. And they're about to talk about a lot of these kinds of the international relations, how you build how we deal with climate change, all of it. So fascinating. Oh, Emily, you don't know how amazing that is. Marilyn, she just wrote, I saw a stork in my mind. Haha, someone who brings a bundle of joy of new baby. Emily, in the last calls we've done with Marilyn, there are storks in the chimney across the way from her apartment, and she's been watching them for weeks as these storks learn to fly and take their first flights. We were on a call when one of them took their first flights. Do you see? Oh my God, Emily, that's just amazing. You see how good you are at this. Yeah, I know. Isn't that incredible? That's what happens when you look into the future. You're observing the field of a person. You're witnessing the stream of who they are, what they're up to. And if you come from this deep core, unique essence and the greater purposes, the fluid greater purposes, constantly changing, and then you stream it out into future possibilities. You don't just look, oh, there's the future and I'm predicting it. It's not like that. It really isn't. I don't believe you can predict the future. I think there's some people who can really get good at that and give you some good stuff. I have been known to look out 5 years for people and get it pretty accurate in the past, although it's not something I want to do. I don't want to predict futures for people. I want people to create their lives and make the choices that give them quantum leaps in terms of achieving their greater purposes in the world. And that means we have to be creators and sources of our choices that allow us to quantum leap. Oh, Emily said, this is the best timing for me to hear this tonight. I had to make a decision tomorrow and I was grieving the choice. Oh, Emily, that's amazing. And you know where you look for that? Because I do that too for myself, where I have to make choices. I get big, I get expansive, I'm really open to, okay, who I am, what am I here for? And then I put the choice as the focus in front of me. And I look round the choice and I say, if I choose it, what's it look like going forward? If I don't choose it, what's it look like going forward? Or is there some other combo here in which I know exactly what's the perfect thing to do that will take me straight to who I am? So that's brilliant, Emily. I love it. I hope that helps if you look forward. How about if we just have a look at Emily for a minute? Can we do that, Emily? Is that okay? Not necessarily at your particular choice, but we'll just use you for a minute. So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yes, Marilyn's saying we tapped into the field of the person, maybe like the me I hadn't seen as the possibility. But yes, you're looking at the field of possibility of a person and all the streams of choices and myriad of possibilities for how you're going to achieve who you are and what you're up to. So, Emily, just for fun, I'll do this with you too. So, Okay, I know Emily well, really well too. So, okay, so if it comes, so anybody else wants to join in who's watching, feel free. Okay, so here we go. So Emily from the Deep Core Greater Purposes, powerhouse. I mean, you are about having people be powerhouses. Like that's who you are, over and over and over. Powerhouses. Powerhouses are a word that just suits you immeasurably. You empower powerhouses. That's what you do. Okay, so now if I then look at the stream of the future for you, but like let's take from where you are now, streaming out, it looks a particular way. And then if I quantum leap it into an evolutionary leap stream, let's see what happens. Oh, Emily. Yes, you are a networker. And I know you've built quite a network in Australia, and have done all the touring around and all that stuff. I don't know where you are with it now. Maybe with the lockdowns and stuff, it all slowed up, or maybe it just kept rolling online. I have no idea. But I can feel in you, there's, you're sitting in a place that's reflective. That's what it feels like. And trying to make new choices to just go, I'm in the same place myself. I'll bet we all are that are watching. There's something happening with us all right now. We're right on the cusp of quantum leaping into a new possibility of ourselves, and the boldness that that's going to take to do that. And boy, I know any of you watching, you got that boldness like in your DNA. So, hallelujah. Okay, so if I then quantum leap you there with you, Emily, here we go. Oh, you are meant to be a global voice girl. No doubt about it. Yeah, I can tell. She said she took a sabbatical, yet I can feel it. Took a sabbatical last year. You can feel that. It's great. I mean, I think it was a time of reflection and grace and family and ease and all. It feels like that for you. But now you're standing on the cusp, about to go. And I think you were meant to go empower powerhouses in the world. Marilyn said, I saw you in places like conferences, bringing people together and alchemizing events, alliances, facilitating. That's her in a nutshell, Marilyn. That's who she is. She is a rock star, this girl, and can do anything. Really amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Emily, I hope that us looking for you at that helps you to make that choice you're going to make and gives you some clarity around it. Because you can see that my whole thing that I'm talking about here is how you elevate pathways forwards to take quantum leaps, to get on the optimal streaming path, to fulfill everything you are, everything you want to become. And it's like you have to stand in the present moment, honor the essence, the purposes, the come from place, and then stream it out, open it up, bring possibilities in, and see. You can even innovate. It's a great way to innovate how you're going to accomplish your purposes. And I think the more you innovate, the more new streams become available to you. So there you go. Oh, good. Emily said, thank you. Yes, I feel absolute clarity about her decision. And that's my point in doing this whole video, was how you can make great choices based on looking into the streaming pathways of possibility for yourself. Yes. Okay, let's just, before I wrap her up here, let's just all line up for Emily, for Marilyn, for, Goodenhild's on the call, anybody else who's watching and watching in the future too, for amazing, brilliant choices, amazing pathways, quantum leaping us all forward from greater purpose. Yeah. I love it. I'm just reading what they said. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, seeing you all reshaping the world together and individually and in every other way. Mwah. It's been fabulous. Thanks for joining me. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.